Did I find the best mod to your Icebear for only 10 bucks? I think so. Hello everyone and welcome to Quick Collections Garage. My name is Nader and I'm a car enthusiast. I like to build them, track them, race them, and collect them. Now in today's episode, we're going to be actually focused on the Icebear Maddogg, which is also known as the Chuckus, also known as the Sauce in my scenario. In today's video, we're going to be installing this volt gauge that also has a USB connector to it. One, that'll help charge my iPhone while I'm just on the road, and two, it'll help me understand where my volts are at on the Chuckus itself. So without further ado, guys, let's just get straight to it. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to take off this little this box right here. Just a few screws, typically probably a Phillips or a flathead. Alright, so once you got all the screws out, you can now take this piece off here. Be careful when you're pulling it off to watch out for the turn signal wires. You don't want to bend them too much or stretch them out too much, but mine are okay. They're not really in the way, so I'm just going to kind of place it down here. I might put something under this to support it. Alright guys, I went ahead and took this off just to make it easier to drill the hole for the new setup. Now what you want to do is make sure when you're pulling the wires off, make sure you make a mental note of where the wires go. So in my scenario, green went to green, blue went to orange. I'm guessing blue is positive and green is negative. Either way, just make a mental note before you disconnect it so you know how to put it back together. Obviously these are side specific, so you got your left turn signal and your right turn signal, so don't get them mixed up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mount it up here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because two things. One, I want it clean and kind of out of the way. And two, there's kind of like this, this little groove right here. I can just mark the center of that and drill right in there. And I know if I do that, then it'll be centered and it'll be in a good place. One thing that I've read online is that you want to be really careful if you mount these in, that you just mount it by itself and not another housing on the outside of the actual volt gauge, because these things are cheap plastic and it will break. So just be careful where you mount it. All right, now get the appropriate drill hole. And I've got a 35 mil here, which that'll be the right size to kind of get this one down in place. Notice that the drill bit is a little bit farther forward than the actual hole saw. That's what you'll want so it can tap into the housing or base, whatever you want to call it. All right. Alright guys, as you can tell, I drilled the hole just a little bit bigger than the actual required amount, because what I wanted to do, wow, if this camera would focus. Nope, not going to focus today. Anyways, there we go. What I wanted to do was I wanted to put this rubber grommet around this hole to kind of help just give this some like steadiness from vibration and vibrating too much on this plastic piece. These plastic pieces are cheap. They're honestly kind of garbage and they break easily. So I didn't want this to vibrate too much and cause this to crack down the road. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to wire these up. I'm going to obviously wire the black wire to a ground. So I'm just going to ground it anywhere, not to the battery because they'll get in the way. And then I'm going to look for a switch 12 volt here for this positive terminal, and then we're done. Honestly, it's really that easy. Alright guys, so before I get to what I'm doing, I want to explain to you guys why we're connecting this to a plus 12 switch volt. So if I connect this straight to the battery with a positive to a positive and the negative to the negative, that means that this is going to be always on. meaning that the volt gauge is going to be always on and the USB plugs on it are going to be always on. That's going to drain the battery unnecessarily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this. I'm going to ground this here, and I'm going to use this little tool here to test when we get a plus 12 when the key is turned to the on position. And that's going to tell me that we've got a plus 12, and I'll tap into that wire. So I'm going to dig for that for a minute, and I'll let you guys know. Alright guys, so what I did was I found a wire that turned on when I only turned the key to the on position, which means we found our constant. So what I did was I just tapped into that wire and zip tied the wire around there just so it stays on. You know, typically I would say solder things as you're working, but for this build I don't think I need to be soldering these wires. So what I'm going to do is just test it and show you guys how it works. So when we have the key on the off position and this tool here grounded, nothing should happen. So we've got it in the off position, and as you can see there's no light on in this tool, meaning that this wire currently isn't getting power. Now if we go to the on position, I hope you can see it on camera, but it picks up, which is exactly what we want. So we want it to get positive power when it's when the key is in the on position. So now we've done what, you know, the install is honestly complete at this point. So we just need to put everything back together and ground the positive wire. So I've already connected the positive, sorry, ground the negative wire. I've already connected the positive wire here. I'm gonna ground that wire to this chassis right here. There's a bolt here. I'm just gonna use the ground that they gave us and connect it there, and we're done. So now it's time to put it back together. It's extremely fun trying to get your hand in really tight places, even when you're small like me. So I pretty much put the box back together. I haven't screwed it in yet because I still want to test it and make sure everything's good. But I'll show you guys kind of where the placement is and show you and test it. Let's see if it works. So here's the first test. You actually can't even see it from the rider's angle. You have to go down here, which to be honest, I freaking love that, because one of the things I was worried about was that the LED light would be in my face as I'm riding at night, and that would be really, really annoying. Anyways, let's test it. Let's see how it is. All right, keys off, key on. Ooh-wee. Let's see if the USB is working and my phone will charge or not. Just hooked up my phone to the power outlet there. As you can see, if it'll load. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyways, it's charging, guys. There you go, you can see the lightning bolt at the top. By the way, it's 7:32 p.m. as I'm doing this. So anyways, guys, thank you again for tuning in. As you can see, it's a pretty easy install. One of the things I actually love about the placement of where I put it is you cannot see it at night, which honestly you don't need to see the volt portion of the gauge, except for moments when you feel like your battery's low or you just want to check up on the battery and the charging system entirely. So without further ado, let's wrap this up.